You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump voters pound president for making billions on the side while they struggle, based on an article by Tom Bogany. The Presidency as a Family Business. A MSNBC segment on Florida Trump voters did something rare. It let the lie slip. The voters were reacting to reports that Trump and his family are making billions in his second term, and their complaint was blunt enough to expose the basic scandal. The problem is not that some supporters are now confused. The problem is that a president is openly turning public office into a wealth engine while the political system treats it as just another cable news topic. The money is the story. This is not a personality quirk. It is institutional power used for private gain. Trump holds the office. His family benefits. His rich friends benefit. That is the chain of agency, and it is not complicated. When a president can cash into the tune of billions, the central political fact is not voter disappointment. It is the collapse of any serious boundary between state power and personal enrichment. The scale matters because it shows confidence, not restraint. This is corruption performed in daylight. Voters are not the power center. The clip of Florida GOP voters complaining about Trump getting richer does not change where power sits. They voted for him. He governs. They do not. Their frustration is real, but it arrives after the fact, after the transfer of authority has already been made. That matters because modern political coverage loves to linger on betrayed supporters as though disillusionment itself were accountability. It is not. It is residue. The decision that mattered was the vote that empowered a man already known to use public office as a profit center. Everything after that is damage control from people who helped install the damage. Corruption in plain sight. Richard Haas called the blatancy and nakedness of it unprecedented, and that is the right instinct. The issue is not subtle. The issue is whether institutions are willing to treat obvious self-dealing as a governing emergency or merely as another scandal cycle. The source also points to a useful comparison. Trump loyalists spent years attacking Hunter Biden over conduct that, even in this framing, looks small by comparison. That contrast is the point. The right perfected a politics of punitive theater, and then normalized a president and family apparently operating on a much larger financial scale. The moral language was always selective. The outrage was always instrumental. The media's favorite detour, the weakest frame in the segment, is the familiar one that turns structural corruption into a story about how upsetting it feels to ordinary supporters. Yes, one voter said it was frustrating. Yes, another said someone is making money on the side. That is not the revelation. The revelation is that the side is the presidency. Coverage like this can accidentally soften the crime by making it sound like a lapse in manners or a personal disappointment. It is neither. It is the monetization of public office in front of an audience that has been trained to process scandal as atmosphere rather than governance. What this pattern reveals. This is how oligarchic politics survives, not by hiding the theft, but by distributing just enough outrage to keep the system conversational. The public gets a clip, a quote, a sigh, a round table, and then the machine keeps moving. Trump's project is not merely authoritarian in style. It is extractive in purpose. The larger lesson is simple. A democracy does not fail only when institutions are smashed. It also fails when the ruling class learns it can openly enrich itself, and the opposition, press, and public are left arguing over how frustrating that feels. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Raw Story for today's article. With it automated voice of Bryce. Thanks for listening.